A 100 billion yen EV graveyard, the dark secret of China's electric car boom, consumers left to suffer. 1.9 million trapped in misery, Yiwu's unbelievable economic collapse. Once a booming industry, now a graveyard of dreams, China's electric vehicle market is collapsing, leaving thousands of consumers stranded with unsellable cars. How did this happen? And who is paying the price? This is the story of a rapid rise and an even faster fall. Friends, take a look at these electric cars. They have been sitting here for over 2 months and are now completely covered with grass. I have no choice but to sell them as scrap metal. Initially, they were priced at more than 40,000 renminbi, but there were no buyers. Even after reducing the price to just over 30,000 renminbi, no one is interested. So I'm forced to sell them as scrap. Let me show you these vehicles. They are in excellent condition, yet remain unsold. The area is vast, with grass growing all around. The mileage is only in the tens of thousands of kilometers. Despite the low price, there's no interest. The location is Chengdu, China. All vehicles are available with ownership transfer included. This situation is not an isolated case. It is a snapshot of a growing crisis in China's electric vehicle industry, where countless new cars are left abandoned. This is the graveyard of new energy vehicles. These are Rowi EI5 station wagons with a range of 420 kilometers, manufactured in the latter half of 2019. The current price is shockingly low, just over 30,000 renminbi per unit. There are more than 200 cars here, all in good condition, complete with documentation. You can choose any car you like. Some people are picking vehicles as casually as buying vegetables. But beneath this surreal image of car graveyards lies a troubling reality. When manufacturers go bankrupt, their servers are shut down, leaving these electric vehicles without essential software support. Basic functions like rolling up the windows become impossible without costly repairs. And the situation only gets worse. The batteries, the heart of these EVs, cannot be replaced with third-party alternatives. The cost of a new battery often exceeds the vehicle's value. And to make matters worse, most of the necessary parts are no longer being produced. My electric car was made locally in Hunan province, but after the manufacturer went bankrupt, it became an unfinished vehicle, essentially out of production. I bought it in February 2022 and have driven it for more than 2 years. Now, with the factory closed and no after-sales support, it's become a disposable car. I worry every time I take it out, afraid of both accidents and breakdowns. I realize now it was a mistake to buy such a car. The root of this crisis can be traced back to a decade of aggressive investment in new energy vehicles, driven by local governments in China, eager to boost their GDP. In 2014, inspired by Tesla's success, China experienced a massive boom in EV manufacturing. Between 2014 and 2019, over 60 new car makers entered the market, while around 400 more registered without ever producing a vehicle. But the rapid expansion soon became unsustainable. Today, only 8 of those companies remain, with 2 barely surviving and another struggling under massive debt. The reason? A race for government subsidies. Local governments across China offered generous financial incentives, tax breaks, and land to attract EV manufacturers. But this flood of investment led to market saturation, triggering fierce price wars. Companies with weak foundations quickly went bankrupt, leaving behind massive stockpiles of unsellable vehicles. We never imagined that cars, like real estate, could also become unfinished projects. Neja Auto, once a star in the new energy sector, now faces bankruptcy, leaving owners without after-sales support. Since 2017, Neja's parent company, Hosan Auto, secured 10 rounds of financing totaling 22.8 billion renminbi, but persistent financial losses exceeding 18.3 billion renminbi from 2021 to 2023 led to the collapse. Factories closed, stores shut down, and dealers demanded compensation for losses. The once promising brand has now become a cautionary tale. Neja's story is not just a tale of one company's downfall, it's a reflection of an industry plagued by overspending, mismanagement, and reckless expansion. And the consumers who bought these cars are left to suffer the most. But what exactly are the problems faced by consumers who own these unfinished electric vehicles? 1. The vehicle's functions become severely limited. When a manufacturer goes bankrupt, software updates stop, and critical features, such as intelligent driving, may become unusable, affecting safety. 2. Repairs become a nightmare. With after-sales service shut down, owners are forced to rely on expensive third-party repair shops. Even then, key parts like motors, batteries, and electronic controls are often unavailable. 3. There is no chance of a recall for defective vehicles. Companies like Skywell Auto, which has applied for bankruptcy, have refused to initiate recalls despite known product issues. 4. Insurance becomes nearly impossible to obtain. Many insurers refuse to cover discontinued models, citing the unavailability of spare parts. 5. The vehicles depreciate rapidly. For instance, the Weimar EX5, which originally sold for over 200,000 renminbi, is now worth just 40,000 to 50,000 renminbi on the used market. But the impact of this crisis doesn't stop at China's borders. As the domestic market for electric vehicles collapses, China has turned to international markets, exporting low-cost EVs. This has disrupted the European automotive industry, where local brands like Volkswagen have lost market share, leading to layoffs of around 50,000 workers in 2024. Yet even in Europe, Chinese electric vehicles are facing trouble. In 2024, some Chinese EVs sat in European ports for months due to weak demand and logistics problems. The European Union has responded by imposing temporary anti-subsidy tariffs of up to 38.1% on Chinese EVs, causing a steep drop in sales. The question that remains is why the Chinese government continues to support this failing strategy, one that seems to harm others without benefiting itself. Experts warn that if Europe and the United States escalate retaliatory measures, China's already struggling economy could be further damaged. A strategy driven by blind subsidies and aggressive exports is now creating a vicious cycle, one that China may struggle to escape. China's ambitious drive for new energy vehicles promised innovation and prosperity, but instead, it has left a trail of bankrupt companies, abandoned cars, and betrayed consumers. As global markets react, and as Europe pushes back with tariffs, the question remains, will China's EV dream turn into a global nightmare? Once the world's largest marketplace for small commodities, Yiwu was a city bustling with trade, opportunity, and ambition. But today, beneath the neon lights and crowded streets, lies a different story, one of despair, debt, and declining hope. So what went wrong? Let's find out. Among local loan brokers, a grim joke has started to circulate. In Yiwu, every industry is struggling. Anyone with ambition may end up losing everything. Please stop putting pressure on Yiwu's private enterprises. Many local business owners are overwhelmed, forced to shut down or simply give up. Starting a private business in Yiwu may not be difficult, but scaling it up is a different story. The financial strain has driven many private entrepreneurs into a cycle of endless debt repayment. If you look at the loan data from major banks here, the figures are staggering. They wake up early, work late, toiling day and night with little to show for their efforts. This is the harsh reality they face. When I visited last year, the streets were so crowded you could barely move. But look at it now. Foot traffic has visibly declined. I clearly remember that in May and June last year, the streets were bustling and it was hard to walk. Now, they are almost empty. Yiwu, a city that once thrived as a bustling internet sensation and global shopping hub, has become a shadow of its former self. For rent signs are everywhere. Shops lined up with posters. In both second-tier and fifth-tier cities, only a handful of people can actually make money. Those who work hard are struggling to pay mortgages, and for many, as soon as their wages arrive, they disappear into debt repayments. 8 or 9 out of 10 young people are simply filling financial gaps, paying off one loan with another. Large companies are slashing salaries and laying off staff, while small businesses are barely holding on. I've been in the residential sector in Yiwu for 6 years, and this is the worst I have ever seen. Conversations are all about consumption downgrades. Wallets are empty, and no one can seem to fill them. How are people supposed to live like this? I once thought Yiwu must be a place of endless prosperity, a city of thriving businesses and bustling streets. But today, I'll show you the reality. The streets are desolate. Shops are either vacant or being transferred. Those that remain open are mostly run by their owners, with no signs of hiring staff. Let me tell you the real situation in Yiwu now, and you may find it hard to believe. On the surface, the city looks busy, with heavy traffic and even traffic jams, but beneath that facade, many residents with a per capita GDP of over 5,000 yuan are burdened with monthly repayments exceeding 10,000 yuan. Large companies are downsizing while small businesses are barely surviving. For shop owners along the main streets, the end of the month brings little more than bills, rent, utilities, and other expenses, often without any profit. Only 1 or 2 stores manage to turn a profit. May is typically an off-season for sales, but this year is exceptionally quiet. There are fewer than 200 cars here, and they are simply not selling. Even premium brands like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, Land Rover, and Porsche have lost their value. My car is 12 years old, completely original, and it is now priced at just over 9,000 yuan. Renting a house in Yiwu this year is a completely different experience from last year. Back then, landlords were firm with their prices, refusing to negotiate. But this year, the situation has reversed. I visited a property, and before I even tried to negotiate, the landlord lowered the price. The advertisement had been up for a long time with no takers. Yiwu, known as the world's largest small commodity wholesale market with 75,000 suppliers, is a key sourcing destination for American importers seeking affordable daily necessities. But the ongoing Sino-US trade war and China's worsening domestic economy have dealt a heavy blow to this once thriving city. Mr. Fan, a local factory owner, explained to overseas Chinese media that his business, which produces electronic products primarily for the domestic market, is now struggling. Faced with insurmountable losses, he has decided to shut down operations and lay off more than 100 employees. Another entrepreneur, Mr. Shu, an e-commerce business owner, painted an even grimmer picture. He revealed that 99% of local e-commerce businesses are losing money, and only around 5% of cross-border e-commerce companies are managing to survive. The tariff issue hasn't been fully resolved, and the risks are still high. Every year, foreign trade keeps declining. There are no good industries to work in, and it has become too difficult to be a business owner. Orders are disappearing. Every day is filled with confusion, anxiety, and pain. I can't sleep at night, but I have to work more than 12 hours a day without any breaks, from the start of the year to the end. I can't do business with American customers anymore. Shipping costs alone are 1,000 yuan, or about $500, but I have to pay more than $700 in taxes, adding an extra 4,000 to 5,000 yuan to the cost. How can I do business like this? I have received several orders recently, but they are guaranteed losses. Even if I try to break even, I end up losing tens of thousands. The economic struggles of Yiwu are not unique to this city. Similar scenes are playing out across many of China's first-tier cities. The real estate market is collapsing, shops are shutting down, unemployment is spreading, and the atmosphere is increasingly reminiscent of the Great Depression. Yiwu's decline is not just the story of a single city, it's a reflection of an economic struggle spreading across China. As businesses close, debts rise, and hope fades, the question remains: how many more will follow in Yiwu's footsteps?